An update now on the breaking news we brought you at the top of the hour. Kyle Rittenhouse is testifying for the first time in his homicide trial. The teenager is accused of killing 2 men and wounding another during last summer's social justice protest in Kenosha, Wisconsin. A short time ago, he broke down on the witness stand.
And there were three people right there.
Take a deep breath, Kyle.
NBC News correspondent Gabe Gutierrez joins us now from outside the courthouse in Kenosha, where he's been watching the developments today. Gabe, what else did Rittenhouse have to say today on the witness stand?
Aaron, good afternoon. There's a lot to unpack here, and I can tell you I've been watching a lot of trials over the course of my career. I cannot remember a time when the judge started yelling at the prosecution as he asked the jury to leave the room. That's what's happening right now in this courtroom behind me. The judge admonishing the prosecution for its line of questioning during cross-examination involving Kyle Rittenhouse. You just played that emotional testimony from Rittenhouse a short time ago. That was when the defense was talking to him about his interaction with Joseph Rosenbaum. Rosenbaum is the first man that Rittenhouse shot and killed that night in August of 2020. The defense has been trying to hammer home the point that Rittenhouse shot Rosenbaum and 2 other men in self-defense. And during Rittenhouse's testimony, the defendant said that he was ambushed and that basically he did what he had to do, not because he intended to kill these men, but because he wanted to stop the attacks. And that was his response when he was questioned during cross-examination by the prosecution. The prosecution assigning intent to him, the judge and the defense essentially objecting to this. And that's part of the reason why, again, the judge right now is admonishing the prosecution for its line of questioning. Taking a bigger look at this, Aaron, this is a case that is really culminating in this moment. This entire case had been building towards Kyle Rittenhouse's testimony. We did not know exactly when it would happen, but this morning, just a few hours ago, Rittenhouse taking the stand in his own defense. Now, this is a case, Aaron, as you know, we've been covering this now this is day 7 of testimony, but it's a case that has really highlighted several hot-button issues in this country: the Second Amendment, gun rights, racial justice protests. And in fact, we just heard Rittenhouse describe a point that had infuriated people like Jacob Blake's family. He, of course, was a black man that was shot multiple times and paralyzed by a police officer that really sparked this unrest. His family had been furious that Kyle Rittenhouse had been allowed to leave the scene of this shooting through a police line and turn himself in the next day. Rittenhouse himself was asked during the time he was on the witness stand just a short time ago why he didn't turn himself in to police. He contends that he did approach a police officer with his arms raised, with his rifle behind his back, and he said, "I just shot somebody." The police officer, according to Rittenhouse, used an expletive and told him to get back and go home. Jacob Blake's family, immediately after this shooting, they were furious that this would not have happened if it had been a black shooter. That he was allowed to leave because he was white. That's kind of one of the undercurrents here in this case, and partly one of the reasons why it is attracting so much attention. Supporters of Kyle Rittenhouse have argued that he is a hero, that stood up to himself, that stood up to those who were attacking him. His opponents have tried to portray him as a vigilante who was out looking for trouble. So that's all coming to a head right behind me in this courthouse. Again, Kyle Rittenhouse being cross-examined by the prosecution. His testimony is expected to last potentially throughout the afternoon. And then we're not quite sure what happens next in terms of any more witnesses that the defense might call. We could see closing arguments in this case perhaps as early as tomorrow. And then, of course, the jury would get this case. Aaron?
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.